Tonight on a special edition of Evening Magazine. Cast off on an exotic escape. We're cruising in Mexico for sun and stories made south of the border. Go on a jungle hike where your feet hardly touch the ground. Where you can help save one of Mexico's most endangered animals.
Look at him go!
Meet the brave men who cheat death daily. Grab a paddle for a wet and wild ride down the Mexican countryside. Go for an unforgettable dip with dolphins. And take a walk on the bottom of the Sea of Cortez. From Cabo's iconic arch to the warm beaches of Zihuatanejo, we're sailing to paradise. As Evening Magazine presents Retreat to the Mexican Riviera. Now here's your host, Megan Black.
Hi, and welcome to our South of the Border edition of Evening Magazine. We are cruising the Mexican Riviera tonight. Now, we are on board one of the Seattle-based Holland America cruise ships, and we are going to be bringing you exciting and action-packed stories from every stop along the way. Now, you may have heard of some violence in parts of Mexico, but the ports we're visiting largely untouched. Plus, you always have to be careful anywhere when you're traveling around the world. So let's see where we're going tonight. Our first port of call is Puerto Vallarta. Then it's down the coast to Manzanillo. Next, we'll pull into Acapulco, followed by our most southern stop, Huatuco. We'll double back to Zihuatanejo and Ixtapa before making our final port call, Cabo San Lucas. So let's set sail and cruise into our first port, the picturesque Puerto Vallarta, or as us travelers call it, PV. Full of culture and tradition, Puerto Vallarta offers travelers a unique mix of Mexican life all year round. Hello. But while most visitors come here just to chill, there's plenty for those who come seeking thrills. These folks are heading out on an ecological roller coaster called the Outdoor Adventure.
Hola, buenos días. Hola.
From there, passengers jump in a Jeep that takes them deep into the Sierra Madre jungle. It's here at base camp where participants meet their guides and prepare for the fun ahead. One of those guides they meet is 25-year-old Crystal Campbell from Seattle.
I moved down here for adventure. I was sick of the monotony and everything being the same, kind of waking up like a zombie, and I was just looking for something fun. Something outdoors that I could do every day instead of being in an office. Ándale, ándale, ándale.
After Crystal and the guides gear everyone up, the group mounts mules for a trail ride straight up the mountain. Once they arrive on top, it's all downhill from there.
Sit down, cross your legs, and let it slide.
On this tour, we have 8.5 zip lines. You're flying through the air on little ropes, and you're flying over canyons, and you look to the right and you can see the entire mountain range. You look to the left and you can see the entire jungle.
These zip lines are the highest and longest in Mexico. They also come short and steep. There's even a line built for two. And if you need to cool off from the jungle heat, on this tour, you're guaranteed to get cooled off.
We do get completely soaked.
If the zip lines aren't jaw-dropping enough, perhaps dropping your whole body down the side of a 75-foot cliff will do the trick.
I think that people's favorite parts are probably the rappelling, because usually when you do a rappel, you do it at like REI. But here, it's like you're doing it down the side of a waterfall. And then the second rappel, they lower down into a lagoon. So, I mean, everything is just gorgeous.
The guides and the ropes do most of the work, and gravity does the rest.
Everything's completely safe, but it still gives you the feeling and the rush of adrenaline.
Thank you.
To some, the outdoor adventure may look more exhausting than fun, but for those whose idea of relaxing is getting a rush, this day in the jungle is one you won't soon forget.
It's an experience that really you have to do it in order to understand it.
Now that is my kind of excursion. If you would like more information about the outdoor challenge in Puerto Vallarta, we'll put a link on our website at king5.com. Well, our next port of call is the beautiful town of Manzanillo. Now, you might not be all that familiar with this place, but since it hasn't been overrun by tourists, you definitely get a flavor of real Mexico. At first glance, Manzanillo, Mexico looks pretty small, but once on land, you'll find a big range of things to do and places to see. The town is known as the sailfish capital of the world, but you'll also find plenty of other sport fish being reeled in here too. The beaches are famous as well. It was on Manzanillo's sandy shores that Bo Derek did her famous Run Along the Beach in the movie 10. But besides the surf and the sea, the best thing to take in around here might just be a look at the local life. It's Sunday morning, and for many locals, that means shopping for the week ahead. At the Cinco de Mayo market in the center of town, you'll find people buying produce and other staples for tonight's big family dinner.
4 kilos.
Maria Garcigas is one of the many fishmongers at the market. With the Pacific Ocean right outside Manzanillo's door, she says customers are pretty picky about the fish they buy.
Todos quieren fresco.
They want the fish that is being caught every day. Fish to grill, the ground fish, to make ceviche. Very fresh fish.
Down a few stalls, Alfredo Manzano and his fellow butchers are also busy filling orders.
Pago muy especial para la gente.
This is a very special day for people who buy meat. It's beef to grill on the charcoal. That's what they normally buy on Sundays.
Hacen convivios a familiares.
They make party to families in their houses.
Visiting Manzanillo's main market may not be the kind of tour most travelers take, but what you leave with after soaking in the local culture will stay with you a whole lot longer than any suntan ever could. Now, Manzanillo is a pretty short stop, but I guarantee you, when you leave, you'll want to come back and experience a whole lot more. Still to come tonight on our retreat to the Mexican Riviera. Take a walk on the bottom of the Sea of Cortez. You don't even have to know how to swim. That's later in the show. Coming up next, the jagged cliffs of Acapulco, where a 70-year tradition is alive and well. Welcome back to Evening Magazine as we cruise the Mexican Riviera tonight. Now, our next stop is the biggest city on our trip, Acapulco. There are 2 million residents, but it's the littlest and bravest ones that'll have your jaw dropping. As one of the first resort destinations in Mexico, Acapulco has been welcoming travelers to their shores for more than 50 years. While the pace of life moves a bit faster here, there's still plenty of reason why people come to slow down. But at one place, it's not the tourists who take their time.
This will be Tommy or Tallulah, your choice.
It's what they came to see that moves at their own pace.
This is the only turtle camp here in Acapulco.
The push they guys are giving is...
Jacob is a member of the conservation group Amigos del Mar, meaning Friends of the Sea. It's a foundation that educates visitors about Mexico's endangered sea turtle population by letting them release newborn turtles into the ocean.
The releasing turtles is one experience that you guys could take it back home.
For Joyce and Ron Honeyman of Bellevue, the release sounded like a good time for a great cause.
When we realized that they had this opportunity for us to see and release it and went to a wonderful foundation, it just spoke to our hearts.
After the turtles are hoisted in the air to get their bearings,
Yes, time to say goodbye.
the race to the water is on.
This turtle is called Golfina, that's the name in Spanish. In English, it's called the olive rider. They were born actually 5 o'clock in the morning today.
Look at him go! Oh, that's our turtle. Once these little guys are swept out to sea, those who survive will return here in 10 years to lay eggs of their own. Another thrill by the sea doesn't happen on the beach, but in the air. In a tradition that dates back to the 1930s, divers still risk their lives leaping from Acapulco's rocky cliffs.
It's very scary all the time.
Daniel Rodriguez has been diving for 4 years. He says the most difficult part divers face actually happens before they dive.
I think the climb is the hardest thing.
Before each show, divers must scale the face of this 125-foot cliff using nothing but their hands and feet.
It's very shallow, like 9 feet. So we have to wait for the high tide. Yeah, hit the water is very hard, so that's why we have to hit with a punch. You get in like this with your fingers, you can break your fingers or you can knock out yourself.
Despite the risk, Daniel and the other divers are proud to carry on this Acapulco tradition.
It's a nice job and I really like it.
Well, our next port of call is our southernmost stop on the cruise, Huatuco. Now, this town may be small, but it is huge on beauty. With an average of 330 days of sunshine a year, Huatuco is located in the southern state of Oaxaca. This small and unspoiled destination welcomes visitors with old-school architecture and lots of warm smiles. But while many tourists get here by ship, the best way to see Huatuco may be on something a little smaller. For those looking to see the countryside in something other than a car, riding along in a raft offers an unmatched view of Mexico's natural beauty. For Washington residents Scott and Jennifer Butchwright, this whitewater raft trip will be a first for one of them.
My wife, even though we live in Wenatchee and have a river right there, has never been whitewater rafting, and when I signed us up for this, she was, are you crazy? Yes, it's the safest place.
After nerves are stowed and everyone's on board, it's time to shove off.
It's very, very nice and very relaxing.
10 years ago, rafting guide Alberto Trevino left the crazed city life to move to these calmer waters.
I'm original from Mexico City, but I don't like 23 million people, and it's better stay here in the wild. This is the Copalita River, and this river started at 12,000 feet over ocean, and they finish right on the beach.
This time of year, the water level is low, but still fast enough in places to give riders a thrill. Along the way, rafters get to see all kinds of different species of wildlife, as well as a glimpse at the daily life for the locals who call this area home. But for all its beautiful sights, this trip is also about having fun.
They like the water fights. That is very fun because they supposed to be like all guys in playing like kids.
An hour and several laughs later, the rafting wraps up. For Jennifer, it was a memorable first float.
It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful, and it was perfect for my very first whitewater river rafting trip.
I wouldn't call it whitewater. It was a good float.
Rafting downriver might not be quite as quick as a car, but for these vacationers, that's the whole point. Now that river runs high or low depending on the season, so you may want to check ahead to see if that trip is right for you. Still to come tonight on Evening Magazine. Sea combo like you've never quite seen it before, plus a close encounter with one of the friendliest creatures of the sea. That's ahead when Retreat to the Mexican Riviera returns. Welcome back to Holland America's MS Osterdam and our special on the Mexican Riviera tonight. We're hanging out in the casual dining room. Well, our cruise now heads north to the towns of Zihuatanejo and Ixtapa. These places offer both new and old Mexican experiences, but there's one encounter most kids, and adults for that matter, only dream about. When you picture the Mexican Riviera, Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo seem to have that perfect postcard look. With the warm, sandy beaches lined with palm trees, this area was once a tiny fishing village. Now it's a traveler's paradise. To this day, fishermen can still head out for the catch of the day, but around here, fish aren't the only popular attraction that comes from the sea. To some, it's controversial, and to others, it's a dream they never get the chance to fulfill. At Dolphinity in Ixtapa, people of all ages get the chance to take the ultimate dip by jumping in the water with dolphins. For Tara Berg and daughter Kazaya, this encounter is something they've always wanted to try.
We're visiting from Canada, and this is something we can't do there, so we wanted to do it here.
Participants play and interact with these amazing animals in ways that couldn't bring you any closer. The time in the pool isn't just play. Trainers also try to educate the public about these highly intelligent mammals. For most, the highlight of the session is the foot push. Each swimmer locks their legs as two dolphins dive from behind and put their heads on their feet, propelling them through the air.
Here we go. When they pushed us by our feet, it was great. It was fun. It was something you can't even describe.
If vacations are made up of memories, going face to fins with dolphins in Mexico is one that won't soon fade away. Well, our Mexican Riviera cruise is pulling into our final port, Cabo San Lucas. Even if you've been there several times, chances are you have never seen Cabo quite like this. Located on the southernmost tip of the Baja California Peninsula, Cabo San Lucas has grown from a small fishing village to one of Mexico's most popular tourist destinations. From its bustling waterfront to the iconic arch, you can find everything from street life to wildlife, all within a short walk. But as many things as there are to see here, there's one view of Cabo most people have never set their eyes on. A short boat ride from shore is taking tourists to new depths of exhilaration.
Watch your head and watch your step.
This is Cabo Expedition's Sea Trek, an underwater adventure that allows participants to experience the thrill of diving without even knowing how to swim.
That's better.
That's a good thing for 64-year-old Tom Templeton of Pennsylvania. When it comes to swimming, he admits he doesn't have much experience.
Zilch. Nothing. Just never learned how.
Relax, take your time.
Olympia Lopez has been diving in the waters off Cabo for years. She says this kind of descent is easy. It's getting the confidence to do it that's difficult.
I want to go to the water, but I'm very scared because I don't know how to swim. For those who don't know how to swim, you don't know. You don't have to know how to swim.
Once the instructions and safety procedures are covered, it's time to enter a nearly weightless world. Once below the surface, Tom and the others begin their hike along the bottom of the Sea of Cortez. In order for the divers to breathe, air is pumped into a space-age looking helmet from lines floating on top of the water. Though each helmet weighs about 80 pounds apiece, you don't need to be superhuman to lift them.
It was really nice. You could see lots of fish, starfish.
Visibility on this day wasn't ideal, but it was clear enough for divers to play a game of underwater frisbee. After about 30 minutes below, Olympia Lopez gets to watch what she says is the best part of her job.
My favorite part is taking people that have never been on the water and look at their faces when they're coming out.
Cabo San Lucas may have many things to see, But taking a stroll where most creatures only swim makes this unique walk one to remember.
It was just a great experience.
So that kind of took my breath away, but it looked like fun. We'll have more Retreat to the Mexican Riviera in just a few moments. I certainly hope you have enjoyed cruising the Mexican Riviera with us tonight, and a special thank you to all of those who helped make this fantastic trip possible. Again, if you'd like any information, well, thank you, Paulo. Appreciate that.
I hope you enjoy your cruise.
I did. Thank you very much. Again, if you'd like to know anything about cruising or any of the excursions you saw, just head to our website at king5.com. We have links under all the stories. We're going to leave you tonight with some sunny images from our cruise. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you back in Seattle.
Travel in Mexico for Evening Magazine, provided by Holland America Lines. For more information on cruising, visit them on the web at www.hollandamerica.com. Flights for Evening Magazine to Mexico provided by Alaska Airlines. Alaska flies to 9 major cities in Mexico with vacation packages to 8 destinations. For their lowest fares guaranteed, visit alaskaair.com.